Hi, this is Allyse again, and welcome to the Daily Mentor Calls. Today, we are on call number 5. Yesterday, we created a plan for each of the people on our names list, and we decided how we were going to contact them and if we're going to use a product approach or a business approach. If you haven't done that step, go back and finish it, and then jump back into this call. So today, we're going to talk about how to effectively contact your list. Now, I'm going to go through some basics, and then I'm going to kind of break it into product approaches or business approaches. So the first thing is, whenever you have on your list that you feel like it's more appropriate to text someone, that you're on just simply a texting, relationship, then I don't think that it ever goes really well if you give them too much information by text. In fact, what I have found, it's a little trick, and it works almost every single time, is you simply text them and say, "I have great news, call me." And everyone is so curious. Sometimes they'll even text back and say, "What is it?" And you say, "Give me a call, I want to talk to you." So everybody loves great news. Everybody is curious, and even people that you have a hard time getting you to text back, you can almost always get a text back when you say, "I have great news, call me." So that's the first step when you want to text somebody. So, and then of course, when they call you, you can go into the phone call approach that we're going to talk about later. Emailing. So once again, I don't think it's a great idea to give very much information when you're emailing people. I just don't think it goes over well. It's not very effective. So what I found is just simply say, "I've been thinking about you and I have something really exciting to share with you. When can we get together?" That's it. Really simple. "I've been thinking about you and I have something really exciting to share with you. When can we get together?" And then, of course, when you get together, either in person or you talk on the phone, you go into the other in-person or phone script. Social media, very similar, right? So social media can simply be the same thing. "I've been thinking about you and I have something really exciting to share with you. When can we connect?" And you might connect, on a phone call. You might connect with more text back and forth. You might meet, in person, depending on where you live. So the email and social media script is very similar. You just simply say in the email, "When can we get together?" And on social media, you simply say, "When can we connect?" So, and by the way, don't worry, you'll have access to all these scripts so you can look at them. Now, when you're calling someone in person or on the phone, it's the same approach. It's the same script. And I have used this over and over and over. I'm going to first tell you the product approach, okay? And this is for someone if you already know what their ailment is. So if you know them well enough and you already know some ailments that they have or what their kids are dealing with, this is a specific script for that. And it goes like this. Imagine I'm calling somebody on the phone. I've been thinking about you, and I've had some pretty amazing experiences with essential oils. I don't know if you've known this, but I have what's called restless leg syndrome, and my legs have been jumping literally for a decade, and they keep me up at night, and I never feel rested. I started using some essential oils on my legs, and I'm sleeping through the night now, and it has made all the difference in my life. And my daughter Marisa, she's a tumbler. Well, she's been really struggling with a lot of back pain and a lot of neck pain. And sometimes it's even hard for her to go to training because she's hurting so bad. We started using an oil called Deep Blue, and it is so powerfully effective on soothing her muscles almost immediately, like within just a few minutes, that we've been using it super often, and it's been so helpful. And I was thinking about you and your daughter, and about how you were saying that she was really feeling a little bit insecure about her acne lately. And I wanted you to know that there are so many powerful oils that works so well for acne. One I'm specifically thinking about is Melaleuca, and you can just put it straight onto her acne, and within a couple of days, the acne starts clearing up. And essential oils, they're amazing because they're safe and they're effective and they're really inexpensive. And I would love to give you a free sample of essential oils for you just to try. And I think you will also have a really great experience. Like, are you going to be around tomorrow so I could drop it off to you? So that's basically the in-person approach, or a phone call, right? And this is somebody that you already know what their ailment is. Now, let's try it again with somebody that you don't know what their ailment is. And it goes something like this. I've been thinking about you, and I've had some pretty amazing experiences with essential oils. I don't know if you know, but I've had restless leg syndrome for like many years, almost a decade, and it keeps me up at night. My legs constantly jump. And so it's really hard for me because I don't sleep well. Well, I've been using some essential oils, and not only have my legs stopped jumping, but I've been sleeping at night, and it's made all the difference. And my little girl named Marisa, she's a tumbler, and she tumbles a lot, almost every single day. And it's been really, really hard on her back and her neck, and she complains about pain all the time. Sometimes it's hard for her to keep training. So we've used an oil called Deep Blue, and it works so well. Almost immediately, like literally within 3 to 5 minutes, it just soothes her muscles and she's able to continue. And we've had just some amazing experiences in our family. And I was thinking about you and your family. And I know that, every family has health ailments. And I would love to come over and give you some free samples of essential oils for the specific health ailments that are going on with maybe you or your spouse or your kids, so that you can try them. Essential oils, they're safer, they're cheaper, and many times they're more effective than other things that we turn to, and they don't have side effects or addictions. I think you're really going to have a great experience. Are you going to be around tomorrow for me to drop them off to you? So that's basically the script when you're calling somebody for product, but you don't know what their ailments are. Now, let's go to the script that you're going to call somebody for the business approach. So for the business approach, it sounds something. Oh, and by the way, just so you know, I have used this approach all over the world. And I really do. I memorize the scripts that I use. In fact, I memorize them so well. Some people might think that that's, I don't know, that's unauthentic or manipulative, but I don't. In fact, I feel like if I have my scripts memorized, then when I'm in front of somebody, I can really think about them and not what I'm going to say. And I literally, if you woke me up in the middle of the night and said, "Hey, Allyse, what do you do?" or "What do you do for a living?" I would immediately go into my script because I know it like the back of my hand. And I'm able to be more personable with people that I'm talking to. So I'm going to give you the business approach script that I use all the time that has been incredibly effective for me. But before I tell you what it is, I want to tell you about one thing that I think we have a tendency to do. And that is, I think we have a tendency to be afraid of the business. And we don't dare say that we're selling the oils. We just say things like, well, we're sharing them, or we love them, or, we want to help others feel the power of them, which these things are all great. But what it usually ends up coming off as, in fact, I've heard this from people. It sounds something like this. They say, "Well, I never thought I'd end up doing the business, and I just wanted to use the oils, and then I started using them, and I had some good experiences, and so I shared them with my neighbor, and she had some good experiences too. And then my sister was having some problems, and I thought, well, might as well try these, and everyone was having good experiences, so I decided just to do it as a business, even though I never thought I would. Anyway, we're having a class on Thursday at 7. Would you like to come?" I mean, that is such a very ineffective way of doing business, because basically what those people are thinking is you're ashamed of what you do for a living. You're ashamed to sell essential oils. And when they hear, if I heard something like that, the first thing I would think is, well, I'm not going to do business with her because she doesn't even sound confident. So I actually never am afraid of telling people exactly what I do, that I sell essential oils, and it's amazing. And if you start with that, it's really powerful. And by the end, you really bring people in. And I can't even tell you how much luck with this approach. So this is how it goes. Imagine this is in person and I'm running into somebody. I've been thinking about you, and I wanted to let you know that I do the most amazing thing. I sell essential oils. They're safer, cheaper, and more effective than other things we have a tendency to use. Essential oils have no side effects or addictions, and I've had some pretty amazing experiences with essential oils. They've totally changed my family's health. I don't know if you've known, but I have what's called restless leg syndrome, and so my legs constantly jump, and they keep me up at night, so I don't sleep well. Well, I've started using essential oils for my legs, and not only do they not jump anymore, but I sleep through the night, and it's completely changed my life. And I have a little girl who's a gymnast, and she trains almost every single day. And her training really puts a lot of strain on her back and her neck, and so she's constantly in pain. Her muscles constantly ache. And many times she's not able or doesn't feel like she can train another day. And so we've been using an essential oil called Deep Blue on her muscles, and it works so quickly, like within 3 to 5 minutes, and it soothes her muscles to the point where she's completely fine to train day in and day out. And, sharing essential oils with others has also changed my life financially. And so many people are interested in using natural alternatives. I'm looking for someone that I can put my time, my talents, and my resources into that could also share the power of essential oils with others. And I thought about you. Are you familiar with essential oils? Now, that is the approach. And I have to tell you, it has been so powerful. And I've used it on planes. I've used it on vacation. I specifically remember I was in Bermuda, literally standing in the water with a man. I was scuba diving with my husband, actually snorkeling with my husband, and I almost bumped into this man that was standing right there. And I stood up and we just started having this conversation about Bermuda, and we started talking for a long time. And he asked me, so what do you do for a living? And I just went straight into it. I said, I do the most amazing thing. I sell essential oils. They're safer, cheaper, and more effective. And I went through the whole script, and I literally said to him, I'm looking for someone that I can put my time, my talents, and my resources into that could share also the power of essential oils with others. Actually, before I even said anything else, he literally raised his hand in the water and started using his finger and pointing it at himself I'm interested. I would like to be the person that you put your time and talents and resources into. So it is really effective. Now, always when you first start using a script or when you first start saying things differently than you're used to, it doesn't come out perfectly the first time, right? So we need to practice. And the way that we do this is through role playing. In fact, just this last week, with many of my leaders, I have literally role played with them. Okay, you tell me the approach that you're going to say. I'm going to tell you. And usually I actually say it to them first correctly, and then they try and say it back to me. And if they don't get it correct, then I say it again, and we go back and forth and we role play until they get it correct, until it feels natural. And sometimes it takes 4 or 5 times to get it out of their mouth. And it's way better to, make mistakes with someone else that you're role playing with than with these people on your list that are your 5, 6, and 7s. So role playing is something that we need to do a lot more. So the very last thing that I wanted to talk to you about is when you're calling someone that either on the phone or you're talking to them in person and you haven't seen them in a really long time. So I'm going to specifically use a phone call to someone that you haven't seen or talked to in a really, really long time. And sometimes this is really awkward. And I think you know what this feels like. when someone calls you and you haven't talked to them for a long time, and it's exciting, especially if you have a great conversation. And then at the end of the conversation, they talk about the business or a business, and you that never feels really good. You usually end up feeling used, right? So in order to get over that, you simply start the conversation by saying, it's been such a long time, and I specifically have something that I wanted to call you about. But first, tell me what's going on with your family. And then you talk for as long as it feels comfortable. And usually after a while, the person that you called will usually say, so tell me what you were calling about. And then it's super comfortable for you to go into it. But if you end up running out of time and either one of you needs to get off the phone, usually the other person will say something like, well, you had something you wanted to tell me. And you can simply answer, it was so great talking with you again. I can call you tomorrow and tell you what I wanted to talk about. So that becomes really, really comfortable. And I have used that a lot. And so when you start off with just saying, hey, there's something I really wanted to talk to you about, but let's talk about you, right away they know, hey, there's a reason for her to call, and they don't feel used. So what I would like you to do, and your assignment today, is I'd like you to role play either with somebody in your family or a friend or somebody in your business. I mean, worst case scenario, I guess you could just say it out loud to yourself, but it never goes quite as well. But I'd like you to role play each of these things. First, the call that you make or the in-person approach for product, and then the business approach. And do it over and over until you feel really, really comfortable with it. So honestly, the more that you practice, the more that you put it to memory, the more it will feel natural. And then when the conversations arise, or when you just run into somebody, you'll just immediately go into these scripts. And then instead of thinking about the script and what you're going to say, you can personalize it to the person in front of you. And it's really, really effective. So that's your assignment today. I want you to role play these scripts over and over until you feel really comfortable with them. Have fun with that. We'll talk to you on our next call.